Today, I'm comparing the Brooks Glycerin 18 against the Saucony Freedom 3. .48 miles, 8 minutes, 52 seconds per mile, 136 minutes, taking it nice and easy for my run today in the Brooks Glycerin 18. And what I wanted to do with today's run is compare it to another shoe that I've been running in a lot lately that I think is pretty similar, the Saucony Freedom 3. Now, before I get into my thoughts on these two shoes, I do want to go over some disclosures. The Brooks Glycerin 18 is a shoe that was sent to me for the purpose of review and testing by Roadrunner Sports, so I didn't have to pay for it. I did pay with my own money for the Saucony Freedom 3. But in either event, no one's paying me to make this video or make any videos about either of these two shoes or to wear either of these two shoes. And no one's gonna get a chance to preview any of my footage before this video goes live on YouTube. Now the disclosures out of the way, let's talk about the Glycerin 18 versus the Freedom 3. Now these are two shoes that are both new to me for 2020. I've not run in either of these shoes before, but so far I've managed to put about 30 or 40 or so miles in the Glycerin 18 and about 70 miles so far in the Freedom 3. Overall, I've been using the two shoes pretty similarly on days where I'm looking for a little bit more comfort, a little bit more cushion on a day that I might not necessarily be pushing the pace. And both of those shoes fit really well in that category. First, let's take a look at the Brooks Glycerin 18. This is the max cushion shoe, or one of the more cushioned shoes that are available from Brooks. It's got an all DNA Loft foam midsole. That is one of the softer foams that Brooks has. It's got full length or near full length rubber outsole coverage for lots of durability and traction. And on the top, it's got a pretty comfortable jacquard mesh that makes it pretty breathable and also comfortable to wear. There is a moderate amount of padding in the tongue and a moderate amount of padding right around the heel, any of the parts that are going to be touching your foot. I would expect from a max cushion shoe for there to be a little bit more padding than this. And so it seems to be a little bit of a stripped down max cushion shoe, which is not something that I was expecting from the Glycerin series. It's got a 10 millimeter heel drop and coming in at 10.2 ounces. So a little bit on the heavier side, although I will have to say, holding it in hand, it feels like that number is wrong. It feels like a little bit of a lighter shoe than what the stated weight is. The one thing that I will say though, is that it doesn't feel like a 10 millimeter heel drop shoe at the same time. It feels like it's a much lower heel drop. If the 10 millimeter heel drop number is kind of giving you a little bit of pause, I'd say try it on and see how your foot feels in it. The number might be a little bit deceiving, at least in the way that this shoe feels as you're running. One of the things that Brooks talks about when they talk about this shoe is that the transition is really smooth. So as your foot hits the ground, as you're transitioning to pick up your foot for the next stride, it's a really fluid motion. They're achieving that with some of the way that the midsole is constructed. And I think that's what I'm feeling when I say I don't really notice that it's a 10 millimeter heel drop shoe, and it feels like a lower heel drop shoe. The running mechanics on this are very smooth. The other thing that's very nice about it is that the insole is an ortholite insole, so it's very comfortable, kind of step-in feel. If it's a shoe that you're gonna be also standing around in a lot all day or doing a lot of walking in, I think this is gonna be a shoe that your feet are gonna be very happy in. Moving over to the Freedom 3, I don't think that Saucony positions this quite as a max cushion shoe, but it has kind of like a lot of those max cushion shoe features. It's got a little bit of padding in the tongue, not quite as much as the Glycerin 18, and a little bit of padding right here around the heel cup. Again, not as much as the Glycerin 18, but there is definitely some like memory foam kind of feel to it. And we've got those puffy padded laces up top to make sure that there isn't too much pressure on the top of your foot. Around on the rest of the upper, we have a mesh that I think is a little bit more of like a knit material here on the toe box. And it seems like a little bit more modern, a little bit more breathable. I definitely preferred the design of the mesh here as well compared to the Glycerin 18. Although I will say that both shoes look relatively streamlined and sleek for the type of shoes that these are. But these are looking pretty good. For the midsole, what we have is all PWRRUN Plus, which is a material that's new for Saucony shoes this year. And it's a material that I absolutely am loving. It's relatively lightweight, but it's also very bouncy and it could absorb a lot of impact over the course of miles. And so I've been really enjoying PWRRUN Plus in the midsoles. The PWRRUN Plus that's in the Freedom 3 is pleasant to run in, and even though it's not their max cushion shoe from Saucony, the max cushion shoe would be the Triumph 17, I am getting a lot of the same comfort and cushion that I would expect from a max cushion shoe. And I actually think that in a head-to-head battle, compared to the Glycerin 18, I think that the Freedom 3 has a little bit more long distance comfort than the Glycerin 18 does. And so I think that I prefer that one. And the weird thing about it, it's kind of like the opposite situation as the Glycerin 18. Whereas the Glycerin 18 I thought was, felt like it was a lower heel drop shoe and lighter than the numbers are. This is stated as a 4mm heel drop shoe and 8.2 ounces. I'd say it feels more like a higher heel drop shoe and heavier than that stated weight. So it's almost as if I've transposed the numbers on these two shoes. Ultimately, I feel like in the running dynamics department, they both feel like they have pretty similar heel drops and pretty similar weights. And so I think that, again, these are both two shoes where the numbers might not be telling you the full story. And I do think you need to try them on to get a sense for which shoe is going to be more comfortable for you. If, however, you're looking for something with a lot more padding in the top and a lot more padding on the tongue, then the Glycerin 18 might be an option for you. And so I think this is a really great step in the right direction for Brooks and this Glycerin series. Ultimately, though, I still think that the DNA Loft foam, there's something that it's missing that makes it not really something that I think I would reach for on a max cushion type of day. So it's not my favorite max cushion shoe that's out there, but a pretty good entry, I think, from Brooks in this category. If you're a big fan of Brooks shoes, if Brooks shoes really work for you and you're looking for something that you can really increase the mileage in, then it's something that I would recommend to you. But otherwise, if you're just looking at these two shoes and trying to figure out which one you like more, I'd go with the Freedom 3. Those are my thoughts on the Brooks Glycerin 18 versus the Saucony Freedom 3. Let me know in the comments if you have any further questions. I'd love to talk to you guys about it more down there. That's all I have for today, everybody. Thanks so much for making it all the way to the end of the video, and I will see you guys tomorrow.
Yo, what's going on?